Where have all the men gone? It was if you haven't seen it, there's a New York Times article that is getting quite viral now. A woman's asking, she's out in restaurants, and where are all the men? There's women alone, sitting there alone, eating. They're not with, no men are there. No men are on dates. You look around, there's like people, like business people, and there's just like, where are all the men? She was looking around. She kind of like woke up and suddenly realized, like, men have disappeared. And everybody's doing a video on this. Pearl, I thought, just Pearly Things, I thought she had one of the better videos on this. And she asked, the question is, where have the men gone, to her audience? And I thought to myself, I'm going to make a video about this because actually it's pretty complicated, and I'm hoping this video answers the question. That's what I would like this to do, is be like, okay, you want the answer? Listen to this video. So let's go through some of the things I've written down. So here, why don't you go ahead and comment too when you see stuff, right? I'm going to just go with different things I wrote. They're not in any order. Some of them are quite serious and they're near the end, so don't think there's any kind of order. Just wrote down as I thought of them. The first thing is, I think, internet porn. Where have the men gone? I think that men basically were with women. You know, there's a lot of reasons why men are with women, but one of them just simply to get off. You know, like gay guys go with guys and straight guys go with women. And then generally that leads to something, right? Starts that way, right? Motivation. Yeah, it like starts that way. It's a motivation to meet them. It's kind of like traveling, right? You travel somewhere and then sometimes you decide you want to live there. But it starts with a fun trip, right? That's kind of internet porn has really destroyed that, because in the old days, you needed a physical magazine to look at. And, you know, limited girls, right? There's like one girl once a month, you know, or two girls, whatever. That's if you buy a porn magazine, which was a lot of social pressure not to have a porn magazine. Like if you had like a Penthouse magazine in the old days, some women were cool with it, you know, but a lot of them weren't. You know, I remember the pre-internet days, you know, and, you know, it was a big thing. It was controversial. Like guys would say, I found my dad's dirty magazines, and then we would talk as kids like, oh, that means he doesn't love your mother, right? We were trying to figure out why he had these porn magazines, right? You know, it was a big thing. Like it was, even if it wasn't talked about, you know, like the dad didn't know the son knew, and the dad didn't know the son was telling his friends, but it was a huge thing. Like we all knew whose dads had porn magazines, right? And my dad didn't. Like he had no porn. My dad was never into porn, ever. And so I knew that. He was against porn. Like, you know what I mean? He was not, he's not. So I think that porn has affected so many things. Like, I know for myself, like, I mean, just honestly, if I jerk off and then I go out, I'm less likely to talk to girls. I mean, I just am. I mean, you know, you could say that it relaxes you so that you're not as needy. So it could improve your pickup skills. Some guys argue that. But I think the motivation to talk to a girl is more important. It's difficult to get the you know, to get ready and go up and approach a woman, you know, because it's always scary, right? Even no matter how many times you've done it, you know, there's a lot of times you'll still be scared. Whereas like with internet porn, it just takes a little of that edge off. Okay, so as I go through my reasons, that nothing is motivated by anything. Like I'm not trying to paint women in a certain way. Some of these things are just factual, societal changes due to technology or whatever. And other things are specifically things that women or men did, right? So that's one of them. I think that's a big deal. And I think even here in Thailand, like I just think less guys are going to prostitutes. You know, just because they can jerk off to whatever they want, and then they can go walk around.
And it's free.
And it's free, right? It doesn't cost you anything, doesn't take any time. You don't get any VDs. In many ways, you know, porn is better than a real woman. You know, you don't get VDs, right? For guys. Guys are practical, you know. It's easy. You know, I think there are, obviously there's negatives, but if you want a factor, that's a big fucking factor. The fact that guys can get off anywhere, anytime in private. And what's that?
For free.
For free, and let the steam off, right? Okay, the next thing is, something you said, Lewis, is there's better entertainment these days. So video games, what did you say? Having things to do. Yeah, you said like a video game is better than a woman, right? And I think a lot of young guys might think that. Is like, hey, yeah, video games are a lot of fun, right? Video games are bigger than Hollywood. I mean, they're 5 times bigger than Hollywood in revenue. Video games.
Yeah.
Yeah, so video games, I mean, that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, you could spend a Friday night. You could spend a weekend with your friends playing video games.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
even think about girls.
Sure. And I'm going to add on to that is that, having things to do, and again, I'm not talking about myself, I'm just saying in general, my observations of humanity here, is better than a relationship. And you're going to say, no, not for me, no. But if you look at the numbers, like for example, in Tokyo, women are preferring to be single now. And there's a lot of talk that women have too much responsibility in relationships in Japan and taking care of the parents and everything. But when you talk to women, the real reason in Japan is that it's so fun to be single in Tokyo now. Tokyo has so many places to go. There's so many fun things to do. There's so many restaurants to go to. There's so many different things to see, experiences. There's so many unusual museums and funny things to do. There's so many events, special events. There's like laser show events. There's every kind of intellectual thing. There's poetry readings all the time. There's live music. It's just like, there's probably like 10,000 live bars in Shinjuku, They're all underground, so you don't see them, but they're everywhere. And, there's just endless things to do. And when there's things to do, I think when you look back in the past, why was marriage such a big deal and why was dating such a big deal is just simply there wasn't as much to do. There just wasn't as much to do. It's hard to compare these things because we can't go back in time. But, I'm 60 years old, and I'll say I honestly think that's a fact. And the reason why is because I can look back at my own life. So when I was in Arizona and there wasn't anything to do, there was really nothing around. It was desert. We were on the outside of Arizona in a trailer park. We had a big park in the trailer park that we would go to. And we had to be creative with things to do because there just wasn't, there was a pool. We had a pool. The trailer park had a pool. So we would swim all the time. Would we have swam as much if there was more things to do? No. It's just that it was the only thing to do. And so we swam all the fucking time, And we played in the park all the time. Why? Because it was the only thing to do. And you could say, oh, these kids love the park. Well, why do they love the park? Because they're not in Tokyo, right? In Tokyo, there's like endless things to do. And kids they have a million different hobbies and strange and unusual pastimes, And it's because there's options, And I think in the past, there just weren't as many options. So where have the men gone? Women are just one of the things men are interested in. And in the past, we thought, just like the pool, that men just love women because but actually, when there's nothing else to do, a woman is pretty exciting, right? Talking to a woman and making out and feeling her titties, pretty exciting, right? But honestly, when you can go racing BMX bikes and you can go surfing, 15-foot fucking macking waves, and you can go rock climbing at Yosemite. It's pretty exciting, guys. Women are, I think women exaggerate their excitement to men. I really do. I think women really think they're really something, That women think men are boring, but they're exciting. And women are just not as exciting as they think.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of exaggerate because all the guys want to get off on them. So they think, well, that means I'm exciting, and interesting. And guys tell them all kinds of lies, and so they think it's true, right? But it's really just, it's like all these compliments men have given women over the years to get in their pants have finally gone to their heads where they believe in them, right? But actually, in reality, when there's other things to do in the internet porn, women are not, they're just, and we're going to get into a lot of other things that make it a lot worse, kind of that piggyback on this particular idea. And then we got women's requirements these days are too high. That one's been talked about a lot. I think that one might be exaggerated a little bit because it's exciting in videos. Women saying they want $1 million a month guy salary. And I'm not going to go into that one. I don't see that one in my life. I don't see women really wanting that much from me as far as money and stuff. I've always been able to have women without having money. So personally, I have not found, I've had so many women when I was very poor. And I guess they were banking on my future. I understand that. But still, I didn't have the money. I didn't have the Rolls Royce. I didn't, you know what I mean? And the guys that I fucked, the girls that I fucked, they were dating guys who had those things. So you know what I mean? The guy had the Mercedes, he had the house, and she was drilling my brains out. So I've never found that to be such a big thing. I think that was not such a big deal. Okay, so here's another one, and this is really to turn it around, because women are saying, where are the men? And I'm saying, in this one, women avoid men. So it's not that men are avoiding women. Women are avoiding men. So men allow them to avoid them, basically. So it looks from the outsider that they're not there, even though they wanted to be originally. But basically, men accepted that women didn't really want them and finally gave up and left. But it was an invisible thing. Like when someone doesn't want you, you can feel it. And men basically are not wanted. And so they're kind of like, well, if I'm not wanted, there's not much I can do about that. You know what I mean? Like that's just kind of how it is. And so I won't be there, If you're not wanted at a job, how many, it's just money, right? And you're going to eventually look for another job where they're happy to see you, right? We went yesterday to a cell phone place. Lewis wanted to get internet service for his phone, and the girl did not want our business. It was very clear. It really was super clear. And we were just like, and I could see you starting to talk to her like, well, you must have something, and I'm just like, don't worry about it. And then we went to another shop, which I knew.
The same shop.
Same brand, yeah. Different shop. And they were so nice and so happy to sell us something. Like, she just didn't want us. And I'm just like, when someone doesn't want me, I'm not going to get in a fight with them. If someone doesn't want you, I think you have to accept that. Yeah. Just that they don't want you. I think a lot of guys, they can't accept not being wanted because they don't have the self-esteem to not being wanted. For me, if you don't want me, I'm glad you told me that so that I can go around, because I know other people do want me and they want to be around me. So if someone doesn't want me, I'm just like grateful because I know not everybody wants me. So it's like, oh, you don't want me? Okay, great. Thanks for letting me know. And I'm just happy because I don't, the worst thing is somebody doesn't want you. You argue with them in the hopes that will make them want you. It won't make them want you because now you're arguing. So they didn't want you. And now they don't like you and don't want you, right? So there's no point in going there. So men have finally figured out, oh, women really, it's not just words. It's not just words. That's what women who ask this question don't really consider. How much do they really want men? Like women don't want men, except for certain things.
Some like the video game industries want men.
Well, yeah, companies want men.
Yeah,
and I think the last final thing that wants men is in democracies, politicians have finally discovered that men's votes are just as good as women's votes. And so you saw in this last election with Donald Trump, you saw that men voted for Donald Trump, right? And now the Democrat Party is spending a lot of money to try to figure out what men want so they can bring them back, right? Because, but I think a lot of women would just like it if you could just take men's vote away and just have women's vote, and then you wouldn't have to please men in any way, ever. You could just go down this road forever, right? But unfortunately, it's a democracy and all adults can vote. So politicians suddenly woke up to the fact that they need men, vote of men. And so they're kind of pathetically squirming about, right? And trying to figure out what they're going to do because, and this goes to the very heart of the question, where have the men gone? Women need so much soul searching through themselves by listening to this and really looking at their part in this before they can answer the question. It's really is a question they have to soul search themselves and then take specific actions, which I'll talk about at the end. But men basically have accepted that women don't really like them. They just want money. They just want a baby, and they're just like, they don't want me. They just want my things. And if you look at any psychologist who works on self-esteem, you never want anybody who just wants you for things. You want somebody who wants you for you. And women talk about this all the time, but they don't think about it. They only see about it from their perspective. But for men, it's really become extreme where women and society and politicians, they only want men for very specific purposes. Does anybody think that politicians care about men suddenly? No, they want them for something. So, of course, men don't see that as love. It's just like, oh, well, at least I'm wanted. That's better than nothing. I mean, it is better than nothing, for sure. Being wanted for something is better than nothing. But we have kind of realized that there's nobody who cares about us. And women, most of all, or least of all, where we thought they loved us the most. We're like, women don't really like men and want men. They're kind of trying to get away from men. They dream of a world without men, really. Most women today. So men have accepted that. And I think that's good for men to have accepted that. Is that women, they ask these questions once in a while when they want something, but they really don't. Even this New York Times woman, if it took her until 50 to ask this question, like I know I love motorcycles, right? And when I was like 12, I would read the Sears catalog and they had these like little scooter motorcycle things. And I wanted one so fucking bad. And then I read that, I would look at the catalog over and over. And I would go down to the Honda shop in my hometown and just look at the bikes, get on the bikes. As I wanted that bike so bad. And when I finally was able to get a bike when I was 14, I got one. I finally talked my parents into letting me get a bike, which is totally illegal. I would be riding that thing like crazy all the time. And I've been riding pretty much bikes since, right? And so you could see who I was at a young age. If a guy is homosexual, he will know very young what he wants, right? And if anybody really wants to travel or do anything with any real emotion, not just some need. I'm not talking about need. I'm talking about want. Women just really, this woman is such a phony because now when she's 50, she's suddenly waxing on eloquently about how much she likes men. And she didn't think of that till now, right? It's like, well, that's fake, basically. So even the most caring woman in the world about men who wrote the article is a fake, right? So the rest are complete fakes, basically, because nobody gives a shit. And I'm gonna prove it at the end of this. Okay. So here's another reason. And a lot of these are going to be very distasteful, difficult for women to hear. But this is the reality. I mean, this is the truth. Okay, so I was at an AA meeting the other day and in Cambodia. And there were, I think, 3 men and 4 women. And for some reason, oh yeah, we were talking about acceptance. That's right. And I said the story about my daughter being taken by my ex. and you know how painful that was. I very rarely talk about that. In fact, I never talk at meetings about that. But for some reason, it was kind of matched perfectly with my point. And so I talked about it. And then another man, there's only 3 men in the meeting. His daughter was taken. So when she was 4 years old, his ex divorced him and moved to another state. I think she moved to Alaska and took the daughter. And he never saw her once again, ever again. So we have 3 men, random guys, 3 random guys, and 2 of the guys have had their children kidnapped. Okay, so basically, women have been stealing men's children now for decades. And their money. And everyone talks about the money. To me, the money is nothing. The kids are, that's a million times. So women have been in the open, kidnapping men's children all around us. And nobody cared. Nobody fought for men. Nobody gives a shit. Even this woman didn't even bring that up as a possible reason. But, children are the most important thing to a man. That's like you do everything for your wife and kids. And they always say wife and kids, but it's always the kids. The guy works to give money, to feed the kid, to go to school, to give him a car, to give him safety. That's why men have, you know what I mean? That's why they meet the woman. The woman is a vehicle to the children, right? And the man is a vehicle to the children. And if you look, that's why men work so hard, is for their wife and kids. But like I said, it's mostly the kids. The woman, if she needed to, she could work. But kids are helpless. They can't work, right? So he does it for the kids, right? So when you take the most valuable thing and then you allow women to kidnap those kids over decades, and many children have been kidnapped, and even this woman, she might have been one of them without even knowing it. Because they never asked the men how they feel. And meanwhile, the kids get some bullshit story about what happened. Oh, he didn't love you, and he was dangerous. We had to leave. But the kids were being kidnapped, right? And brainwashed. And so there's many kids have been kidnapped that don't even know, that their father loved them, right? So this has gone on for decades. So longer than I've been alive, this has been going on. And yet, horror stories, 2 out of 3 men in some random meetings. So, I mean, this is no longer like a small issue. This is like standard now, is that the woman that you love is going to steal your children and you'll never see them again. I mean, that just takes, it hits you on 2 points. One, it takes away the incentive to want to be with a woman, because that was really one of the key reasons. Like, why do we find a woman sexually attractive? What are the characteristics? Boobs and hips. Now, what do boobs and hips signify? Boobs signify children have food to eat, the woman's healthy enough to feed the children, and the hips, that the kid won't die in birth. So even the reasons why we find women attractive is because of kids, right? Women try to make this, they try to turn everything we do bad. So if you like titties, you're like a terrible guy, right? If you like the ass, you're a terrible guy. The reason why we like them is because we want to have children. That's the bottom line. So everything we think and do has been vilified and made into some evil, terrible thing. Even if we want the most lovely thing in the world. Not to mention when we want something bad. But kids, it doesn't get any more innocent than that. Man wants a kid. And again, I know it's a little bit of a stretch, but that is what we are attracted to. Things that make kids. And we are not stupid. We know that. It's all part of the deal. It's just that we've been dehumanized so much that nobody even thinks about the guy's perspective, right? But, part of it is I know when I really am fucking girl hard, the girl would say, come in me, right? And I'll be thinking, I want to put a baby in you. That's in my mind. Well, I'm doing this dirty fuck to this girl. So it's even at the most base, simple physical level, kids are part of it. You know what I mean? Yet our children are now regularly kidnapped. Now, not to mention, society doesn't care. In fact, society does this to us. So they are the Women have the evil desire to kidnap a child, and then they use the state against us. So people wonder why people are leaving the West. Why do people leave, either emotionally, mentally, or physically? The reason why people leave is because they're treated poorly. So they leave emotionally, right? They're just like, nah, fuck this place. Like, yeah, I used to believe that. But if they're part of kidnapping my kids, which they are, how much can I love them, right? If they don't care about my most important things, then how can I be stupid enough to love them and believe them? Like, they're just going to take my kids whenever they find it, and they'll vilify me. And on top of that, she'll tell some lies in court. Everybody knows their lies. Every lawyer knows the difference between a false allegation. They know. She never went to the police. There's all these things as signs, but they use it. And so this huge charade with men in the middle, decades of this, decades of your father having this happen, it happening to you, happening to your friends, happening to Brad Pitt, happening to people on the news, happening to the best guys in the world. The top 1%. There's always this fake thing that if I was a successful guy, this wouldn't happen. But it happens to everybody. Jeff Bezos, Brad Pitt, happens to basketball players, NBA stars, it happens to football stars. It happens to the richest guy in the world. It happens to porn stars, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to talk about, like if you think that virility is the thing, no, it happens to everybody. So basically, men have realized, wait, nobody cares. They will just take my children. Like, woo, danger zone. Next one. Why have the men left? Okay, so kids of divorce. Basically, most people have either been through a divorce, parents, or they've had it happen to all their friends, and they're kids of divorce at the end, right? They deal with it all the time. Their parents, oh, my dad, he's not around anymore. When they go to the house, where is he? Oh, well, like, we're all dealing with divorce. Kids are the ones who deal with divorce, the nastiness of divorce. And we've all been through it. We've all seen it. And we're basically like, fuck that, right? It's kind of like if all your friends lost money in crypto, you're going to be very, very hesitant, right? Now, if all your friends made money in crypto, you're going to want to do it, right? So it depends on who your friends are, right? But unfortunately, we're all kids of divorce now. We've all seen it tear people's life apart. It's not, I would say, like, everybody probably knows or knows of somebody who knows of somebody whose father drank himself to death after that, or jumped off a bridge, or just basically, basically was destroyed. I know a guy who was, there's plenty of guys. And so we know that. And we know that two things. One, we know that, well, actually a few things. One is we know that women instigate it. Women are the cause. We know that society backs them up. And we know that guys are destroyed. We know that terrible things happen to the guy afterwards. And we know that nobody goes to the funeral. Nobody cares. Nobody that caused the damage cares. None of the people in the divorce court go to the funeral and say, man, if I wouldn't have argued that thing, I knew he was innocent. Nobody goes. Everybody goes to Starbucks. Everybody goes to work. Nobody cares. And guys are smart. They're like, wait a second. It's not just words. These fucking people are ice cold. They will steal everything I have and allow me to take the rope. And there's not a tear shed by one of them. And then guys are like, fuck this shit. It's not that guys have done anything on this one. Guys have just gotten smart. They're just like a dog that's been beaten too many times. The dog just does not come up playful to the owner anymore. Because he can't. He knows he might get beaten again. So men are just like that. They've learned, okay, don't show it on the outside. But like in reality, hey, these people are not your friends. This thing is not good for you. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I don't want it that, right? So kids of divorce, and then of course there's many other things on that divorce thing. Like, for example, boys don't want that to happen to them. Boys secretly watch their father. No matter how much they believe the lies, they still know. Like, how would I stop that? I can't stop that. Like my daddy's the most powerful person in the world, and he can't stop it. Boys always see their fathers. You can't. He's the strongest guy. My daddy could beat up your daddy, and then next thing you know, daddy is just devastated, crying all the time, and they know that something is wrong. Like daddy, something is seriously fucked up. And girls, what are they taught? Girls, once the woman divorces the guy, okay, what happens? The women are taught how to be a single mother. That's basically what it is. It's a class in how to be a single mother. What's the best class? When you're young. Who's the best teacher? People you trust, right? What do you believe most? What you've seen in real life, right? You can see a Disney movie, a fantasy about marriage, but you still know it's a movie, right? And then you go home to your family and then you see what's real. And your mother is a single mother. And she's teaching you how to be a single mother, how to earn money, how to send them to daycare. You're learning how to do that. And so what do you do when you're older? You emulate your mother. You have children, you leave the guy, or you go to a sperm bank, and then you get a job, and then you send him to daycare, just like you were taught. You do just as you were caught. And then children are very good students. I mean, really good. We actually have mirror neurons that force us to mirror what others' behavior is. That's why children of war are broken. That's why children of divorce are, how are you going to be a good mother if you've never even seen it? It's just a fantasy to you. It's like a guy in a war-torn Somalia watching a video about a kid growing up in Norway in the 50s. It's nice movie, but it's not real. I'm not going to go outside my Somalian war-torn house and act like that because I know I'll get killed. Right? So it's just kids are really, really realistic. I know when my dad, when he did things, I became very cynical. Very, very cynical. And he would say to me, "Why are you so cynical?" And I was thinking, you know why. You know why. But he wanted me to say it so he could argue with me. But I'm not that stupid. Even when I was a kid, I'm like, I know what's fucking going on here. You're not going to get this out of me. I fucking have made my decision about what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to let you get in there and change. Because if there's one thing kids want is to have the ability to control their future. Kids with self-esteem are like, no, you're not going to fuck me over. And then control my mind to allow me to be fucked over again. Like, no. I'm learning my lesson here and now. And kids are very good at learning lessons. And they're very proud of themselves. Even if it's a bad lesson, it's a bad, like if it's like an unhappy situation, still the kid is like, hey, I'm getting 3 locks on the door. That 2 was not enough. Kids learn. And that's what's happened is kids have now learned. Right? Okay, next. Women have got much less sexually attractive. And I know there's a lot of argument about this, but now we're asking a serious question. And I'm going to tell you the truth. So in the 70s, girls had tan, sexy legs in California. I mean, they fucking had hot legs. Like there was hot legs everywhere. They might not have big boobs, right? They might, whatever that is, but they had sexy legs. It was everywhere. Girls wore shorts. It's sunny, Southern California. California girls had sexy legs. And this is not wishful thinking or like a certain kind of memory. This is reality. I was a little kid looking at those legs and I knew there was and they wore what they call hot pants, like short shorts, and mini skirts. And women had fucking sexy legs in the 70s. And legs are a big thing, right? And now, so even ugly girls had sexy legs. So I think that's important for women to understand. Women never get told the truth about men. You just need one sexy thing. That's really enough for a guy to just want to drill you endlessly. You don't need 100 things. You just need one thing they can focus on, so they can get you on all fours and look at your legs or they can always find a way to make you into their princess, right? But you got to give them one fucking hot thing, right? And generally, like nowadays, like there's just like nothing because they've just, women eating processed food, they've just become these blobs with nothing attractive, and that's. I don't really know, cellulite. I got to tell you straight up. Like, I mean, I know it's like saying the obvious, but fat and cellulite is a major turnoff. Men are not attracted to fat women. Now, I know that this has become twisted, and I know a lot of men now are on drugs, which I consider SSRIs to be drugs. So men are on drugs now, and so they have become twisted, and they can get off in any kind of weird fetish now. And society's gone downhill. When you get on drugs, you get fucked up. So I think women get confused by that. They see a girl dressing up as some weird thing, and then they think, oh, guys like that. No. That's only because there's nothing else. Like, it would be like, if you think of what men like nowadays, and then you think that's reality. Think of it this way. Okay, so you've been in the desert for 39 days, okay? You've been 39 days, no food. No fucking food. You had water, but no food. How long can you live without eating? 40 days. Now, we take you from the desert, and we put in front of you a bunch of packets of ketchup, okay? You're going to fucking eat all of them. You might even, eat the plastic. Like you might even, bite them, get the juice in you, and just because you're going to shit them out, right? And you need calories in you as soon as possible. And so that's kind of the situation men are in now. Is there is nothing they want to eat except for some crap. And so men are like, well, fuck, and they're going to eat it. Men are basically eating shit when it comes to women, modern women. And women don't realize it because there's part of a man just needs to get off. And men are willing to just eat whatever just to get off, right? And so women confuse that with true desire, right? The other thing is, and I think this is along the same lines, but very important point. So women just aren't as attractive as they were physically. Now, there's other reasons, like mentally and all this other stuff, but physically they're not as attractive. B, what's inside the woman is more important, right? Everybody always says that. And the women are always saying that. I'm going to say it. Guess what? Your insides are uglier than your outsides. Okay? You're going to be like, whoa, that's like a terrible thing to say. Look, you want the truth? Here's the fucking truth. Women are proud. They've been brainwashed. Proud of being fat. Proud of being angry. Proud of being all these things, right? You just see angry women everywhere in the West. It's the biggest thing. If you live in a country like Cambodia and you go back to your home country, the first thing you notice is the women are angry. It's like the first thing, every guy. You'll be like, whoa, everybody's fucking angry here. I'm not talking like this is reality. Women are angry, okay? And you're just like, whoa, what are they angry about? Like, why is everybody angry here? What the fuck is going on here? Okay? So, by becoming unattractive, women are actually leaving men. So angry, all these other things inside the woman. So it's the outside and the inside, right? Have become less attractive to men. And again, the inside is more important. The inside is more important. I'll take a kind girl over a mean hot girl any day as any kind of a relationship. Any day, and so would any guy. That's what women don't understand. Women think men see the outside. Men see the outside, of course, and it catches their eye. But every guy will choose a kind woman who will drain their balls every day over a bitch who's going to be cold as ice. And once in a while, fuck them. Really good or whatever the fuck they have. Guys will take a kind woman any day. If you've had enough women, it took me about probably, I don't know exactly how many women, but I'm going to say about 500 until I really understood this. And it's really about the kindness. If I see the woman and I know she wants me and she's kind, and she wants to make me happy. She wants to do anything she can in her little power, to make me happy. I just feel turned on by her. I'm like, yeah. Whereas if I know she doesn't want me, I just don't feel anything. And that's after a lot of experience. Young guys think the outside is, but give yourself some time. You'll find it. The inside. So women have become ugly on the outside, but even uglier on the inside. And I think that's not going to change soon. And most women have a hard time hearing that. The thing is, how are you going to change, okay, if you're offended by the truth? The truth, if a woman was even the least bit sincere, she would say, what makes me ugly? Like, what have I done that is ugly to you as a man? And then she would listen. She wouldn't be angry. She'd be like, I know that's hard to tell me because you want women's approval. And that's what skews the whole thing, is men don't want to get in their pants. They don't want to get attacked. They don't want to get Me Too'd. That's why a lot of these very sensitive topics or takes, you often don't even hear from other MGTOW guys, because you really do. I mean, like, my friends know about my channel, right? And women sometimes give me a hard time, my friends. They'll be like, you're pretty hard on women. It's like, I believe the only way we'll get through this if we start being honest. And women have become very unattractive on the inside. And that is like, for me, that's like, no go. Anybody who's a bitch inside, I'm like, fuck that shit. I don't care how hot she is. I really don't care. That's partly why I don't like prostitutes. They're cold inside. They're mean. I really prefer a regular girl. Okay, so let's see here. So again, it's the same thing as before. It looks like men leaving, okay? But women chose to eat processed food. Women chose to get fat. Every day, women choose not to work out. Every way a woman chooses not to look honestly at men as human beings. So what do you expect? You become selfish and ugly. And then you want the guy to change. The way you get people to change, okay, is by, if you want them to want you, right, as an employee, as a girlfriend, you become more attractive. You listen to them and you change. This is like not even on the table. These kind of women that are asking these questions, they're just saying basically, what small thing can I do to trick guys that I'm different and that they'll marry me, but we got the same legal system, the same police, one phone call, one false allegation, and this guy's fucked. Whole life is ruined. I'm not going to fight for that to go away. I'm not going to fight for women to go to prison. I'm not going to fight for my mom to go to prison for making false allegations of my dad. Like, I don't care. Yet I want you to like me. It's like, no, baby, that's not how it works. If you want something deep to change, you need to care and you need to listen. And Western women have become very, very ugly and dangerous, in my opinion. And it's happened over many decades. So it's not, I don't have a lot of hope, I'll say in the end. So like another way to put it is, women are choosing not to be in shape. They're choosing not to look at men. They're choosing not to care about their fathers, right? So it's not that men are leaving. It's kind of like if I choose not to go to flight school, the being a pilot as a career didn't leave me. Okay? It's like saying that. Like if you say men left women, you got to do something. You got to be something to be attractive, to be wanted, right? You should be. I mean, women. If I was a young woman, I would be in the best. I would only eat vegetables. I mean, I still eat that now, but I mean, I would be ripped. I would be hot. I would do everything I could, like in the old days. Women, and I think people don't understand the old days. I'm not talking about before my time. My time is women were obsessed with beauty and being pretty and skinny. And then that was demonized. But that was what made women attractive. Just like men were obsessed with making money. That's what made them make money. But as soon as we demonize that, women were like, oh. And then you show women they can get what they want, even if they're fat and ugly inside. Well, they're like, fuck it. at some point, I think women lost respect for men and wanted to basically destroy them. Because they're like, if these guys are so stupid to take me this angry, this ugly, this disgusting, is I want to destroy them for even being there. Something inside the woman wants a man to be wise and to be a leader. And yet when he's a pushover and just accepts the most dog's breakfast life, she just hates that. Because they at some level, women do want men to be, not in real life. I'm just talking in that spiritual level. They want a man to be what a man is. And they're not. So you didn't leave us. The pilot school didn't leave the man who didn't go to pilot school. The career didn't leave him. He never went to school. He never studied. He never did the work to be a pilot. She never did the work to be a wife. She never did the work to be. It's not easy what those girls did in the past to be attractive. It wasn't just because you're born in the 70s, you were hot. Those women dieted. Those women exercised. Those women, they did things. They rode bicycles. They were constantly doing things to be attractive. They did a million haircuts to figure out the one that looks good on them. They spent a lot of time and energy to be attractive. And that somehow is terrible now. So guess what? If you don't do things to be attractive, you're not attractive. Because you're not doing things to be attractive. If I don't study to be a pilot, I'm not a pilot. Right? If I don't walk to 7-Eleven, no matter how much I want to go there, I can shame the 7-Eleven for not coming to me, but I'm never going to get there. The 7-Eleven is built on the ground. The ground doesn't move unless there's a major earthquake. So basically, I'm sitting and looking at 7-Eleven. Why don't you come to me? It's like, no, I have to go to the 7-Eleven. Women have to do stuff to be attractive, right? They have to, but that's, to even get to that level, they got to change, right? Which is not going to happen because they believe that's evil. So they put themselves in this thing, right? Being fat is good, and then just shaming guys. That's all played out now. Like they have punished men and basically abused men for so many decades in every way, including kidnapping the kids. I want to say that again. Kidnapping their children, right? They just abuse them from the moment they approach them in a bar until they steal their kids or put them in prison. And now it's like, I want to be attractive. Like, babe, you got some work to do, right? Okay, the next thing is the marriage contract. It's just proved to be a financial trap. I would say at least 60% of guys are not really married. Never. It doesn't last, right? It's 50% marriage, divorce, but there's it's probably close to 90, but there's at least another 10% who stayed married because of the kids and all these stupid reasons. Like basically they hate the woman, the kids know, and the whole thing's a nightmare, right? So the marriage contract, I won't get on this too much, but I think you said something, Lewis, is with the marriage contract, is basically they kept making guys give more and guys get less. That's the easy way to think about marriage. Marriage was always a thing. Like, it was always a maybe thing for guys. It was never easy for guys to settle down, especially guys with a good life. Like sailors, they could go, make good money, go fuck women in other countries, get paid to do it, come home rich, import things illegally. They could always import art, like historic things. Sailors had a lot of power because they didn't go through the checkpoints. So they could buy a Incan thing and take it home and get rich. Sailors made a lot of money. That's why they were attracted to women. They had a lot of, they were men of the world. They had a lot of choice with women and they could make money. And that was very attractive. But guess what? Sailors didn't get married. Sailors didn't get married. Look at the song Brandy. Watch the song Brandy by Looking Glass. We look at the words of that. A sailor just didn't want to settle down because he had better options being single, right? So it's always been like that. Women have always had to sell themselves, the whole marriage thing. And now, with all these new, the marriage agreement is just a joke now. So as a woman, what you need to know with that one is this one is in the law's control. So if you gave a shit about men, you would have been protesting this, right? You would have been Capitol Hill holding a sign. Men should not have to pay alimony. Men should not have to pay child support. It's a 50-50 thing. You get the kids, like Sweden, right? Is this just 50-50 kids you both get 50-50. The kid lives 2 lives with 2 parents. But no, women never fight for that. They ignore all the things. So basically, okay, if you look at a proxy war, okay, well, I'm just going to use Iran. You have Iran. They had their proxy, right? Hamas, Hezbollah, and also the Houthis, yeah. So the 3 guys. So they gave them weapons, and they had them fight for them. And it made trouble for the people they didn't like. And then you have to go through, it's like a video game. You got to go through the first, second, get to the big boss, right? So they had proxies, And so, what was I saying there? I lost my train of thought. I just lost my train of thought. I was going to go. Oh, yeah, the proxies. So, actually, it's good you guys didn't know, because this is unique thinking, a lot of this stuff, actually. The proxies for the women is the police and the legal system. Yeah. So they have guns. Women are violent. And the difference is they don't have the balls to do it themselves, but they have the proxy do it for them. So they can remain clean. It's like the dirtiest criminal, right? He pays the sheriff to torture the guy. And he keeps his status in society. So women have for years now used proxies to punish men. So they don't do it. They get away scot-clean because he's getting justice, right? Well, justice isn't justice to men. It's like it's been totally subverted to just torture. And for the most innocent of reasons. Why is a guy getting tortured? Is because he loves a woman. So that's a key thing too. When you punish somebody for having a vaulted desire, okay, he loves a woman, he feels affection, and that is punished the most in our society. That's the most, you get punished the most for that. Because if you buy a car, you can go bankrupt if you can't pay. But you can't go bankrupt with child support. You can't go bankrupt with alimony. You have to pay. You will go to prison. So basically, it's men live in this scary world of debtor's prison and jail and essentially torture. Let's face it. Modern jail for the average guy is torture. He's going to get raped. He's going to live in fear. And now we know about the prison system, right? But what we don't really understand is that women are behind that whole thing. Women are the ones sending guys to jail. And they're acting like they're not, right? If I wouldn't have been able to pay, if I would have won my parental rights case, and then I would have had to pay a lot of money because they were exaggerating everything. And if I wouldn't have had that money, very soon I would have been in jail. So you young guys don't really know this. It is very easy to go to jail. So women need to understand this. Let me think, what would be a good example for women? Oh, okay, so you have a baby, and the baby loves the doggy, right? What does the baby love the most? The doggy, right? And so the baby's so happy when he sees the doggy. If you take out your belt when the baby goes like and just beat the kid senseless, covered in black and blue marks, every time the baby goes for the doggy, wouldn't we agree this would be like one of the worst things you could do? Because the kid is actually loving some other person, other being, right? But you're punishing the kid for that. If you punish a kid, even for something very, very bad and beat him, I would say, that's wrong. But if you punish him for something good, you completely destroy the child. Because he can only be bad now. You can actually create a monster. It's very easy, actually. You just have to punish the kid for doing good things and allow him to do bad things. And you will create your own monster. And that is really what they've done to men. So men have chosen, which is amazing. You don't see a lot of men, taking sniper school. Men have actually gone the other way, which I think surprised a lot of people. Men have not been violent. They have not gotten revenge. You very rarely see anything happen in the courts. People involved in the courts that did evil things, and lawyers and exes. It's if you look at the amount of divorce and the amount of, revenge cases, right? It's so small. And so this is where the men have gone, right? So what happened was you took the most lovely, innocent thing that a man could feel. Desire to have a child, desire to protect and care for, desire to bond with, desire to support. You've taken that desire and punished men for that. So if you punish people, it would be like, this woman is so out to lunch. It would be like if you beat the kid every day he went for the dog. Believe me, that kid will stop loving that dog. In fact, guess what the kid will end up doing? Beating the dog. Because the kid will see the dog as causing it. And when the mother's not there, he'll beat the dog. Because the dog is causing him to get beaten. Right? His love for the dog. So it's subverting such a pure and innocent thing. And I've never heard anybody say this. But this is what the bottom is, men are like, wait, you're going to punish me for loving you? I mean, you're going to punish me for wanting to give you children? You're going to punish me for wanting to give you a house? You're going to punish me for caring about you? And you wonder where I went. Are you fucking insane? You are insane. Or you're a fucking liar. That's what I would say with this woman. She's a fucking liar. Okay, well, she could be totally stupid. She could have an IQ of 72. Something like that. It's possible. It is possible. But I think even with somebody with an IQ of 72, if you do this dog and baby thing in front of them, they'll understand, oh, I shouldn't do that, right? Yet they do it, and then they play the innocent. And that makes men are not stupid. They see this. They see this game where you're like, I'm not like them, right? And then as soon as they get what they want, they do the same thing, right? And also, I'm not like them, but I didn't fight against it, right? Who really cared about civil rights? It was the people that protested, took risks, right? You can jump on board afterwards. Oh, you fucking like. But your actions, what are your fucking actions, bitch? When's the last time you went to a support group for men who had their children taken? How many times have you protested on Capitol Hill for guys not to lose their retirement to a woman they were married to for 2 months? How many times have you risked getting fired to fight for a guy who's paying child support for a child that's not even his, and a woman who cheated on him, broke his heart, ruined his life, and made false allegations? This is a common thing. This is the common thing. It's not like you didn't have the chance. This is happening all around you. And you didn't care. You took the advantages of this crooked system. It's like a guy who lived in the South in the days of segregation and took the advantages, right? He drank from the better water thing. And he took, you know what I mean? He made people, he had slaves. All of a sudden he's like, oh, I was totally not for that. Why were they so angry? Those guys, they were happy. My slaves were totally happy. I took great, well, you had to beat them once. But you know what I'm saying? This is women. They're just utter frauds. And these women asking these questions, it's so ridiculous. She really should have her brain examined, right? Okay, next one. Where have men gone? Okay, well, it's not so much where did they go, but why were they there in the first place? Okay, why were they there? It's because you might have a tough life. There's disease, there's wars, there's earthquakes, there's all kinds of tragedies and accidents, right? Heartbreaks. But you had one thing. You had your woman. She might have been ugly, but it was your woman. right? Guys want to have their women. It's probably some kind of bonding thing. It's some kind of mating ritual, but either way, it's deep in us. We want a woman that is ours alone. It's a very deep thing, and guys. Now, we have learned to live in a broken, disgusting world, but we want our own woman, period. And this is now like the terrible thing. Like, this is like, if you want the truth, okay, you have to listen to the truth. Men want their woman. The best thing you can tell a guy is, I am your woman now, I'll be your woman forever. None of this till death do us part shit. He wants to know from your own words what you want to be. You want to be his woman. And that's what he wants. Guys don't really ask that much, but they want the woman to be theirs. For whatever fucking reason, it does not matter. You can get into the genetics and, all this stuff. But bottom line, what do men want? They want their woman. That's my woman, right? And they'll give everything to her. They'll sacrifice for her children, right? But it's got to be his. It's amazing. We've put up with women that have slept around, and then it's such a bastardization. Men have been putting up with stuff for years. And finally, men are like, no, I want my woman. No matter how much you shame me for wanting a virgin, I want my woman. I don't care how hard it is to get. Because here's the thing, guys. Guys have always been happy single. Either I want my woman or no woman. Pretty much. That's what guys really want. Now, I understand a lot of guys can't get what they want. I understand, but you need to know that this is very deep in a guy. So basically, it's just your turn. And it's even worse than that. She's not yours. Okay, so she might have had other boyfriends, blah, blah, blah. It's way worse than that. Let me go deeper into this one. Okay. And they say it's just your turn, right? Well, let's look at the reality of it's just your turn. Okay, what can you count on women doing? What's the oldest saying? Changing their minds, right? That's the one thing you can always count on women, is that they'll change their minds, right? That's the number one, the one thing you want for sure is that women will change their mind. So we know women change their minds. And we've always allowed them to change their minds. Why do they change their minds? Emotions. They get angry, they do things. They might crash your car. They might, wreck your house. They might take some scissors to all your Italian suits if you're a banker. We all know these stories. Women get very angry and they do things that sometimes they regret. Now, what controls a woman's violence and anger? Punishment. Same as a guy. Okay, those are bad things. Women shouldn't do that. But punishment. Men have forgiven women for these things. They laugh. Oh, my wife crashed my brand new car because she's angry I'm going fishing, or she cut up all my suits because I work too much. Men have kind of not given women punishment. And so they've gotten very, very, very entitled, right? Now, men, on the other hand, never got what they wanted in modern society. They put up with it. A woman who's been ran through. When I say ran through, had 3 boyfriends. Really, to men, we really want a woman who's ours. That's what we're programmed for. If you're going to settle down, the more I know about life, I would say go somewhere where you really can get that. That is a very wise move. You want to put energy into something. Find a fucking girl who's a virgin, if you're going to have kids, and marry that fucking chick. Go through a few. Meet a few till you find one that you really want. And settle down with that one. She's your woman. Right? Now that can change, as we're going to talk about here in the second half of this part, this point. So the woman gets angry. We know women get temper tantrums, and they've never been controlled by modern society, so they're really entitled. Well, today, what happens? It's so crazy. For me as an older guy, this is what's happening today, you guys. You have a great relationship. Okay, let's say starting January 1st, 1997. 1999, January 1st, you've got a kid. 2002, you've got, 2020, you got 2 kids. Now it's 2025, you've given her everything, you have a house, You guys have been together. You're doing your part. So you have one fight. And the woman, and this is common now, they get on Tinder. They say they want a gangbang. And 3 hours later, they're getting gangbanged by whatever type of man they want. So a lot of guys think, oh, I have a huge cock, right? She loves that. Oh, it's guys with big cocks is the worst because there's always a bigger cock. And a woman who likes big cocks, she can get that bigger cock. All she has to do is say what size she wants. And then Tinder will provide that, right? Like that. Now, here's a similar thing, money. Guy says, well, I have money, right? So the woman's going to be loyal to me. She doesn't want to lose the money. Guess what? A woman can advertise and get a guy with more money in so easily. So nothing you have. It used to be we had some kind of control of the woman, you know? In the old days, obviously you had societal pressure. You had, obviously in the old days, it was more animalistic, right? You had physical violence, right? That's long gone. Social pressure. I'm not saying any of these are good. I'm just answering the real question, right? And then why, women that dissuaded women from doing these things. Also, if a woman wanted to get gangbanged, that was not an easy thing to organize. I don't know how long it took a girl to get gangbanged by guys who, whatever it is that they want, have. But maybe a year or two, it would be fucking hard for a woman who is married with 2 kids to get gangbanged on by her type of guy. And then how the fuck is she going to keep it secret in the old days? Because the guys are going to talk, right, in their town. So you have to look at reality of the past and reality of the present. A woman can advertise that she wants to get gangbanged, and she can put her city as another city. So let's say they live in Santa Cruz, and then she can put in San Francisco, right? San Jose. She wants to get gangbanged by these kind of guys in this kind of scenario. 3 hours later, there's a bunch of guys ready to go. She gets in her car. She drives to San Jose. She gets gangbanged by the guy she wants to get gangbanged by. She gets in her car and she drives back. This is how much security men have. Now go back to the original point I'm talking about, which is that you're a woman. The most important thing to a guy, she might not be perfect, she might not be hot, but she's his. She's committed to him. She sees in him. She believes in him. She wants him, right? What's the opposite of that? Getting gangbanged by a bunch of guys you never met. Secretly. That's the opposite. I mean, I don't know what else is worse. I mean, I guess you could get a hitman to take the guy out. But short of that, there's really... A lot of guys would prefer that, actually. I mean, this is so bad. Your wife just got gangbanged. Guess what happens? She comes home after getting gangbanged. Now she wants more because she's all excited. And there's no answer to this one. Women are voracious. They're horny. Women are basically hornier than guys. And in the old days, that was kept under control. But that was deemed as evil in the 70s. And now you can no longer control a woman's sexual desire in any way. And that's fine. I'm not saying we have to. I'm not even saying we should. Let women be women. Okay? But now we go, where have all the men gone? Men have no interest in that. They have no interest in a woman that you can put, 8 years of your life into, all your money, and she's getting gangbanged after one little fight, secretly, and coming back just destroyed. And also very, very turned on to do it again. Women are like drug addicts when it comes to sex. When I've given women like real orgasms for the first time, they're like drug addicts. They come back to me. I remember one woman, she came to me, she goes, She came in the door and she looked at me. She basically said, I hate you. She goes, I hate my body. Like, I gave her such good sex. She just couldn't not come to me, even though she had a lot of guys who wanted to marry her. She was perfect, young, beautiful, but the good sex was just too much. She had become because I had enough time with her, and I found her attractive enough to really give her the business. I wanted to unlock her like a safe. You know what I mean? I put all my experience, all the things I've learned into basically giving her the best I could. And it worked. It happened with other girls, but with her, it was really a beautiful thing. The sex was off these charts. Best sex I ever had with her. And she was addicted to it, and she knew it. And then eventually, her mom helped her, and her mom said, look, this guy's not going to marry you. Give him one chance. He doesn't marry you. You got to go. And then her mom saved her from being ruined by me, basically, right? I'm not saying anybody's innocent in this. I'm just saying this is the reality of girls. I can tell you from my own experience. They're basically sex addicts. Once you get a girl orgasming, squirting all over the place, having full body orgasms, they're never the same. They're kind of fucked. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same for other guys that can do that. It really ruins the girls. You know, I mean, I wish we could not do it, but part of you wants to do it, right? But basically, in the old days, it wasn't possible. You couldn't get an innocent, inexperienced girl and turn her basically into a sex addict because her parents wouldn't allow it. Society wouldn't allow it. You'd get killed in the old days. But now you can, and women can. And this is before apps. Now with apps, oh man, women can just become drooling sex addicts where they almost don't want to do it, what they're doing. Like, I think that's the point we're at, where basically women are like sex addicts. And they, at some level, they kind of don't want to destroy the man that loves them, but they almost can't even help it. And the worst thing is this can happen on any Sunday. That movie, On Any Given Sunday or whatever, on any Sunday, it could happen anytime. One little fight, she's getting gangbanged. PMS, one rotten comment, she's getting gangbanged. That's the reality of modern apps. And men know that. Like, not only is there no security in the girl staying, but there's no security in her getting gangbanged by guys that have more than whatever you have. And guess what? This is repulsive to men. Now, it's not girls' fault, but it's where have the men gone, right? Men can't accept that. Their woman is just like, in 2 minutes, she's just like a 2-bit whore for like a bunch of fucking guys giving her VDs and whatever the fuck. She doesn't care. Even guys like impregnating her. Now, wives are saying, hey, you have to support our baby, even though it's not your baby. Like, that's how entitled women have gotten in marriage, is they expect a man to support the baby that she got while cheating, getting gangbanged, and now he's supposed to support it, even though the kid doesn't look like him, doesn't share the genetics. I mean, basically, the impermanence of men's own woman is like, it's almost like the bunkers in Iran. Bunker busters came and just fucking destroyed them. It's just like completely a dead hole now. Like the girl, basically, the girl is like, the girl, yeah, it's a very good example because you look at Iran, right? And there was 3 big holes from the bunker buster bombs. That's what a married woman is like now. You know, 3 big holes, you know, just for any guy. And they've been blasted. Basically, bunker busters have gone in there, blasted them open, and there's nothing attractive anymore. Nothing left. And that can happen on a moment's notice. One little fight, right? She's getting gangbanged. Prove me wrong. This is the fucking reality. Absolutely. And girls, you know, if you go back to listen to my original video that went viral was the one that I feature on my channel about being marriage is doomed. Go watch that one. What do women love the most? Women love to do what they're not supposed to do. This is women's reason for being. The thing that men are not like that. Men like to do the things they're not supposed to do. But it's not the biggest driver. Women love to be naughty. They just love it. It's just like, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do the opposite. So they know that the last thing we want them to do is get gangbanged. So that's what they do. One, because they want to do the opposite. And they might like the gangbang, they might not. But anyway, they know it's the thing that'll hurt the guy the most. And it's the thing they're not supposed to do the most. And women love, and you, as a woman, you know, you love doing things you're not supposed to do. Like Amish girls love to cheat, right? Mormon girls love to cheat. If you go to, just any guy who's a player knows that. I know that. His girls love to cheat. And if you get that speech down about the girl, it's the naughtiest thing you could do. The last thing you want to do is fuck me. That's what if I'm hitting on, I'll say the last thing you want to do. The worst thing is if you're on your knees sucking my dick. That's the worst thing you could do. Because you're married. You shouldn't do that. That would be totally the worst thing. If other people knew about that, you would be really looked down upon. That would be really terrible. And if your pussy got wet while you were sucking my dick, I talk to girls like that, and then they're so wet, right? It's because they just love it. Girls love to do when they're not supposed to do. Well, guess what? Some of the things you're not supposed to do, you're not supposed to do. But there's no way to fix it. There's no way to change women. And so here we are. Where have the men gone? In that question is the assumption that this woman can change it. Like, hello, the apps can't go away. Women are going to be women. It will not change. Okay? Ever. Okay, so there's no security. There's no security in marriage. There's no security in having money. There's no security in being in shape. There's no security about being well hung. There's no security about her being ugly. Guys used to choose ugly women. That was the way they got security. Ask any older guy. He'll say, don't choose a looker. Don't choose a looker because she'll go to another guy. But if you choose an ugly, plain one, you got the best chance of she's your woman. And that's the opposite of what women think. Women just don't understand men at a fundamental level. Men want your woman. They want their woman. And so we chose ugly, plain ones that we knew would have a hard time. That's gone. Okay, next thing. Women take guys' money. There's nothing you can do to stop them anymore. If you live with them for 30 days, a lot of countries, they choose that as being married. Like they just lowered the bar for stealing a guy's money. You write a prenup, that's going to be overturned. The best way for her to steal your money is make a false allegation. Guess what happens? So basically, men have no way to protect themselves. It's kind of like if you, as a woman, if you had a lot of money, okay, and you were walking into a used car lot, but you had no way of protecting your purse. Okay, let's say by law at this place, you had to leave your purse outside and then you had to go to the bathroom. And then they could just steal all your money. Would you go to that dealership? If you had to leave your purse and you knew the guys who were selling you the car were going to steal your money. And then they're going to steal your money when you buy the car. Sell you a piece of shit. You wouldn't go there. That's what marriage is now. Is you're going to get robbed by the person you love and there's nothing you can do about it. Every single avenue has been stopped. Everything has been crushed and deemed evil. Financial abuse. In California, if she wants a new bathroom, I don't know if you guys know this. If she wants a new bathroom, she wants a new car, she wants something, and you guys have the money to buy it or the credit, you deny them, she can sue you for financial abuse in California. Just because she wanted something, you guys physically had the cash and she didn't get it. So that's why women get everything they want from married guys in California because, hey, may as well give it to her. She's going to take it anyway. I may as well look like the good guy. It's these pathetic fucking excuses. These really pathetic, like excuses as a life that guys have accepted that has lulled women into thinking that guys are getting a good deal. It's just basically, it's a total parody of real life, stripped of anything that should come with a sacred commitment, right? Okay, and this is my own Ronin Man special here. I believe, I've never heard this, and I believe this, and Pearl, if you're still listening, I tell you, this one is a big one, is that women have gotten used to killing their own children. So women have gotten used to it. Women think nothing of loving their 2 kids that are alive, not telling them about the older brother and older sister that they took their lives. So you're in a house that's actually a house of horrors. 2 children have been snuffed out, right? Death. The sweetest children, innocent. So you're living in this house with people who did it, right? Your brother or sister. They're not here, they're dead. Because of this person that says they love you. So that's what's happened with abortion, in my opinion. Now, hear me out, and really think about this one. Am I not right? Think about war vets. What happens to war vets? 80% don't have the balls to actually pull the trigger. Only 20% shoot for the heart, shoot for the body. 80%, they shoot above the guy's head in the beginning. They just can't do it. They can't take another human being's life. So it's a process. You have to dehumanize the enemy. Okay, you have to make them into a evil non-human. What have women done to men? Right? So dehumanize. So now, women laugh about abortion now. There's videos. Oh, I had an abortion today. It was so terrible. She's crying and she goes, just kidding. I had an abortion. So happy. There's videos on YouTube about that. Guess who didn't take them down? YouTube and society. Guess what? I'm grateful for those videos because that shows you what happens when you allow women to snuff out their own children. Guess what happens? You get slowly and slowly colder and colder and more broken. Now, this is not unprecedented. In wartime, guys who come home from World War II, they were shell-shocked, not from what they saw. It was what they did. Guys are shell-shocked because they did things it's just one of these fucked up things that, unfortunately, we do have war, but it really fucks guys up because they have to do something that's very against their nature. It's not guys' nature to go around snuffing other people out, but they're forced to do it, they have to do it, and they become inhuman at the end. A lot of guys. Very few guys can keep their humanity after a lot of that. When women have been snuffing out their children for decades now, now think about the effect that has on you. I think it's worse than the war vets. I think this is one of these things that will become a big issue. I think I'm right. I've never heard this argument. I think women have become, when you see women do cold things now, like taking their kids and together driving in the water and, like drowning everybody. This is a common thing now. Women have become just evil in the sense of taking people's lives. And I think it all starts with the abortion issue. So why is it so bad? You might say, oh, you're exaggerating. Oh, come on. Let's think of the reality here. Which is more innocent? Let's say a German soldier, 50 years old, who has been through a bunch of battles, has taken the lives of many of your friends, or a child that was just born into the universe. Who's more innocent? right? Who's more pure? Who's more valuable? So if you do one and then the other one, which one are you going to feel worse about? You're going to feel worse about the innocent person because they didn't do anything to deserve it. I mean, humans have a thing where someone like Charles Manson, humans have a thing where they're like, he used up his chances. I don't feel a human response for him because he's so bad. You know what I mean? And we don't grieve over people like him. And it's very funny when you think about it because we grieve over all the other humans. But there's certain people, they use up our patience. We're like, no, he's too bad. It's not like a knee-jerk response. It is something we choose at some level. We choose to be human. We choose to be inhuman, right? Women have chosen to be inhuman for their own convenience, to save money, or whatever stupid, basically surface, meaningless reason. Oh, I'm too busy. Oh, I'm in school. So I'm just going to snuff the life of an innocent child. It would be like if there was a child on the road and you said, I'm busy, I'm going to work, I got to go. Just drive over him. This is what women have become. And it's their children. Men have always been a little harder, but maybe because of war, I don't know. But women were not like that until these last decades. We're in a new era now where women have become really, because of their own actions, really more evil than even people in war who commit war crimes. Because again, war crime, you're still fighting against a soldier, you know? I mean, we're talking innocent kids who just coming into the world, right? They haven't done anything. Not one bad word. They haven't hit anybody, haven't done anything. They're innocent. Definition of innocence. Women have been taking their lives for years now. And innocent, defenseless lives. And this is the key thing too. If you want to know why this is so bad, you want to know why men have gone away, you start to listen. Shut the fuck up and listen for a while. A woman who takes the life of their own child has to dehumanize herself so much. I think women can do it to another woman's child a lot easier. But their own child requires the toughest skin, the meanest, the most twisted mind games. And now we have a generation of women who, most of them have taken their own children's lives. So we have these war vets, even worse, walking among us. And meanwhile, they're seen as loving. So guess what? If you see Charles Manson as loving, guess what kind of problems you're going to have, right? I believe, personally, for me, this is the biggest one. I really think women have become inhuman. And it's because they haven't thought about it. It crept up on them. Society allowed it. Kind of like slavery. I'm not doing anything wrong. This is not against the law. A doctor did it. Well, doctors did a lot of things. Look up Unit 731 for the Japanese. You know, they did a lot of things. Doctors have done a lot of things in the past. A lot of experiments that were evil. Just because a doctor does it. You know, there's a lot of rumors right now in China. Organ donation stuff. Live organ. You know, there's doctors do things. Just because the doctor said, just because the lawyer said, just because the government said, doesn't mean it's right. And you just have to look at slavery as a good example. Women have believed that they're somehow innocent, but they know. I believe if a woman searches her heart, she'll know that she's done an evil thing. Probably the most inhumane, evil thing she could ever do. Her own child. And I believe that requires some major counseling. Like real serious counseling. Like real heavy duty stuff. And I think women, they point the finger at everybody, but the truth is, they've become worse than an animal. And they don't know what to do about it. No one will stop them. You know, at least a criminal gets stopped. A lot of criminals are grateful to be put in jail. because they say, I couldn't stop. But luckily, society stopped me. Like I couldn't stop myself. I think that's it's like one of these things. There's a coldness. I can't even use the word, because of YouTube doesn't allow you to protect children anymore. You're not even allowed to protect children. They will delete this video if they see that I'm protecting children from having their lives taken, right? That's how far it's gotten, is that the corporations will delete you if you talk about other people, forcing other people to not live in this world. Like, it's just insanity. It's so twisted. And I think truth is going to come from women. People like this 50-year-old. Has she taken anybody's life? Right? And admit that women are the most violent people now. Women have become the most inhumane, the most violent. And yet they wonder where the men have gone. I wonder where the men went. Yeah. Okay, I've got a couple more. I'll try to go fast. Public shaming. I'll just kind of read these ones. So basically, the public shaming of men didn't exist before. Maybe in the Old West, a guy would say something to a woman and she would say something. She was like, no, in a loud voice. And everybody like, ooh, that Jack must have said something. A little bit of public shaming, right? But now with the internet, it's on steroids. And women are publicly shaming men. And guys are losing their jobs. I'll just read my notes. It makes talking to a woman less attractive. You wonder where the men went? It's not one thing. It's a less or more. Right? Less attractive. More risk, less reward. Slowly, piece by piece, women are becoming less attractive. Less attractive, fat, angry, lazy, taking people's lives. This all makes a woman less feminine and less attractive to a man, an intelligent man. They can ruin your career. So that one is just risk analysis. She can make a false allegation and ruin his life. Any woman can do that to any man. Men take security seriously. We're like into security. That's a big thing we think about security, right? Not like women. This is a deal breaker for men. Not for one woman, but for all women. Why even talk to Western women if you don't already know, right? What's the reward? It's not fun. It's not safe. It's not usually captivating, interesting conversation. Women have been complimented so much for, oh, you're the smartest, and they believe this stuff over the years, They don't realize this is just either to stop them from attacking them or to get in their pants. And because they believe this, right? It's not true. There are many risks, many hidden angry women who have been brainwashed and really want to take it out on a man. There's revenge, queens of revenge out there. And their goal is to destroy as many men as they can. And they will make a video and just destroy men. They don't care who the man is. And again, it's kind of like the children that are lying in the grave because of them. They really don't care. These women are not human, no feelings, and they're just full of anger. And they have there are men who are angry, but there's very few avenues. A woman can just smile, go down to the police, make a false allegation. Her proxy takes the war. And even if she goes to the police, this is the way it is. She can go to the police and say, I was lying, and they'll still prosecute the guy. Because they'll say, well, she's probably scared of him. She's probably scared. She doesn't want him to, there's this happens. It's become this cycle where the woman starts it and she can't put it out. It's like a fire. Even the woman that started it can't put out. Because the proxies are just bloodthirsty now. Right? So it's this bloodthirsty, evil, loaded with guns and weapons, violent gang that you can't stop, ignited by a woman based on her emotion and with no way to stop the machine once it's in process. It's absolutely terrifying, actually. I mean, if women understand how terrifying the situation has become for men, that'll be a beginning of them understanding where the men have gone, right? But I take it this woman's probably looking for an easy answer, right? Right? So here's another one. About never fighting for men. Like if you care about animals, you're going to volunteer for animals. But these women that ask where the men go, they've never fought for men. They've never protested in Washington, D.C. They never voted against men getting paying alimony. They never did shit because they don't care. And now they want the benefit of a man that's going to support them. Please, guys. I mean, the fucking mafia is still there. The proxy war is still going on. Nothing's going on. Nothing's changed. She changes her mind, she's getting gangbanged and you're in jail. If she wants to. The only thing stopping her from doing that, the only thing is that she does or doesn't do it, decide to do it. That's the only thing stopping you from being in jail right now, is a woman just going in and just making stuff up. You're in jail. By law, they got to take you to jail right away as soon as she says that. We are all living in an absolute lie. Every single man listening is in the Western world could just be in jail tonight. It's become a total parody of a free country, of a free society. False allegation doesn't need to be proved. As soon as it's said, by law, take the guy, he's gone. So where are the men gone? Geez, I wonder. Basically here, and here's the other thing too for this woman that asked this question, is that in my opinion, if I look at trends and history, it'll be like 100 plus years before any progress is made on this front. I would say at least 2 or 3 generations. If you fight now, you can fight for future generations of men. But today, with all these kids brainwashed, okay, you have to understand a little bit about the courts now. So a judge has the right to decide in a family court whatever they decide. There's really no guidelines. The judge decides. And so what's happening in family courts? If you look at family courts like Las Vegas, the man gets 50-50 custody. If you read the internet, it's the most fairest state of all in America. Right? Guess where I had my kid? I read it was the fairest state to men. Guess what? Go look for the group called something about men divorced Vegas. Go read those posts. The problem is not the law. The problem is that judges have it's like the judges have the right to decide, even though the law is this, they can say, well, there's extenuating circumstances, this is a different case. And so they don't have to rule by the law in family courts. Nothing forces them. And so what you have is activist judges who, let's face it, in the old days, when men wanted to do something bad to kids, they would get jobs working with kids, right? Boy Scout leader, whatever, Girl Scout. Guess what women that are angry at men take jobs? Lawyers and judges in the family court system. Because they're the ones who can punish the men the most. So the judges, in my experience in Las Vegas, are absolutely the most vile, biased, insane people I've ever met. Inhumane, absolutely. They don't have to follow the law. Nothing forces them to follow the law. So changing the laws won't change. This is why it's going to be 100 years, is because the laws can change, but that doesn't change anything because the judges don't have to follow the law. So it's going to be generations before any kind of change is made. So when you say, where have the men gone? You should be saying, where are the men gone and will be gone for the next 120 years? If you believe in right and true, and I'm saying this directly to the woman who wrote the article, you fight for 120 years from now for humanity. You do what you can do now, knowing it won't have any effect. But you did the right thing because everything I'm saying is 100% true in here. And if you really care, I'm going to see you up on Capitol Hill. You're going to be up there protesting to stop all this stuff and hoping at some point in the future that it'll turn around, knowing that it probably won't. So you're kind of fighting for something that won't happen, but you're hoping that this will start something. And that's the reality of why men are not there. So the real question is, Why are men out there and never coming back in your lifetime? But you wouldn't ask that question because you really are probably only asking this question because you want to fix it, right? They always say guys want to fix things. You want to fix things. You want an easy answer. You want guys to come back because you asked the question. But I'm telling you right now, no matter how much progress you make, the wheels are in motion now. This is going down a certain track. And you just have to live with the way things are going to be now. You're going to watch tragedy after tragedy of men's lives, children's lives, women's lives. We're living in a society that's been utterly brainwashed. And so the men realize their only really kind of way out is easy, is to go and have a good single life. And that's the thing, which leads me to the Japan summit. So guess what? In a month from now, right, less than a month, we're going to be going to Japan, and we're going all over Japan. It's going to be fucking, guys are going to have good lives. That's the good point, right? You just have to realize you can't always get what you want. You might have wanted children and love and a wife and all that at some level, and you realize you can't get that. But guess what? You can get what you need. Is some little hottie slobbering on your cock, riding your cock, and you can have a great time jumping in water, surfing, laughing. You can make tons of money. You can have tons of different women. You can travel the world. You can eat different foods. You can laugh your ass off. You can feel secure finally. Your money is your money. You don't have to give it away to anybody. Until the day you die, you can keep that money. And you can donate that money to who you want to, right? I want to start an NGO where guys donate money to something where we go help guys. Just so you guys know, I do want to do that. I mean real help. It might have to be a little bit illegal or NGO because we're going to fly guys to other countries. And by law, NGOs can only help both sexes. You can't even be one sex for an NGO. You have to help both sexes, So we might have to have companies, not NGOs or whatever. We can do it legally, but maybe we can't use an NGO structure, right? But I believe that a lot of guys are on the verge of taking the rope. And I would love to pick them up, take them to have fun, take them to a summit. Just take them out of fucking hell in Oklahoma City, post-divorce, just in absolute hell, and just skyrocket them to fun. Force to feed them a good life. Pay for it. Yeah. And then when we get them back where they got self-esteem again and they're laughing again, it's very similar. If you want my kind of image of my NGO, is this. Watch a video. Once you click on one, you get more of the dogs that have been beaten and then they get adopted, right? How they get back to happiness, right? How they come back, right? Slowly. They're so scared, and then slowly, they start to trust, and then a few months later, they're out just jumping around, their skin is healed, and they're back living a good life. That's what I want to do with guys, is save guys. Literally, save guys' lives. Because I know, having this channel, it really is guys' lives. It's not the theoretical guys' lives. The rope is always there. Really save guys' lives. I take it that seriously. And I believe we can do it. Save your life first, But that's my ultimate goal. And then thanks for listening.